All right, let's talk about one of my favorite things to discuss and to actually do, secret, is life planning. Let's talk about strategy behind figuring out where you want to go and what you want to do. Let's dig into that. First, we got to talk about a little bit of the why. I am a strong believer in the fact that if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So the reality of it is that you want to have a goal. This is going to be changing. You're going to move around. You're going to change what it is that you want in life. You're going to have things that happen that are going to change your goal for you. But at the end of the day, having a plan, having a thought process, and having a strategy about what you want to do can really be a lifesaver for later on down the road. 3 reasons why this is important is that it goes beyond just financial planning. It's a holistic well-being. We don't want to just talk about how to create a good savings account because that's important, but that's not everything. We want to know that it has a direct impact on your professional success. And then 3, it can address some unique pressures or some opportunities that can be out there for you. So let's walk into exactly what we're going to do here. First off, it's super important that we identify our vision. You need to have strictly what your ideal core values are, both professionally and as a person, what your core values actually are going to be. I want you to envision your ideal life, short term, midterm, long term, like at the end of the day, what it is that you want to do. And I really want you to dig into the why. I really want you to understand on your daily activities, why am I doing these things? Does it make sense if I'm making cold calls? Does that make sense? Am I having fruit come from that? Let's talk about the goal setting for just a second. So first off, this has all got to be written down. So take a pen and a paper or a spreadsheet, however you want to do this, write these things down and you're going to be able to revisit it. I like to journal, so maybe put it in your journal at the front and revisit this throughout the time. We're going to talk about your career and business goals. So set targets, talk about your leadership aspirations, talk about your business growth, talk about your skill development, and write down these things that you actually want. Next is your financial goals. Income, savings, investments, debt management, retirement. Write these things down. Put all of these things into perspective. Professional well-being goals. Are you going to exercise every day? Are you going to exercise 3 times a week? Are you going to follow the Whole30 diet? Are you going to follow the Mediterranean diet? Which one is it? What are you going to do? Relationship goals. Are you going to have a family? What kind of friends do you want to have? How often do you want to see them? Do you want to go to networking events? Do you not want to go to networking events? Do you want to make sure that your life isn't full of networking events? Or do you love that thing and you want to be a part of that? So that's a big portion of it. Your personal development goals. Where are you going to learn? What are you going to do for hobbies? Are they going to, be something that you're going to spend a lot of time on? What are your passions? What do you really, truly want to be about? Community and impact goals. Are you going to give back? Are you going to go to church? Are you going to be a part of a church? Are you going to do a social interaction? Are you going to do a social contribution? Are you going to start a 501c of your own and take on something on your own and do something in your own? So these are just a list. All of these things that I just wrote, create a list, a big giant list of things that you want, categorized by the topics that I just put out there. And you don't have to stick to these. If you can think of something else that's important to you, make sure that you put those in there. I was just giving you some ideas on how to spell this out. Next, we're going to build some strategic planning and some action steps on how we get to these other things. So break down that list that you had eventually. Take them one at a time, mentally pick them up and drop them on the piece of paper and write down how you're going to get to these individual solutions. This is a great place where I would put AI involved in this. I would start asking AI, this is my end goal. Give me some ideas, some action steps that I can take to get to this end goal at the end of the day. Prioritize it. Make sure that you're looking at that full list and say, well, I want this one first, and then this one's next, and then this one, and then this one. Prioritize these things. Think of it from a perspective on your action steps by your time management, making sure that you're looking at what do I have time to do in a day? It would be easy to do a sprint and just work for 48 hours straight and get all this done, but that's not feasible. It's probably not even the answer here. The reality of it is that you need to develop routines and habits that give you long-term potential to get to your goals. Now, you are going to be polishing and making sure that the routine is making sense and that you're getting to where you want to go with check-ins along the way. But at the end of the day, this strategic action planning is about building these strategic steps that you're going to use to get to each one of these goals that you wrote down in the first section of this. Now, I'm not going to get on my high horse about many of these situations, but I am going to talk a little bit about budgeting because that is something that I find that is super important. Number one, make sure that you understand your finances. You need to be budgeting and have cash flow management, making sure that you understand where every dollar is going. You need to be strategic about your savings and your investing up front. This is something that's given me a lot of power in the past, is having a good war chest so that if I didn't like the situation that I was in, or I wanted to go after something new, I had the power to do so because I was really managing my finances. I was building a proper savings. I had risk management in place. I had life insurance. I have insurance on my cars and stuff like that. I had all that in place, but I wanted to make sure that I had a good war chest so that if I needed to do something different or I wanted to do something different, I could make a calculated risk and do exactly that. So make sure that you truly understand the budgeting for sure. One last section that I want to touch on here is legacy building. I want you to be thinking about your immediate goals, sure, but I really want you to spend a little bit of time thinking about the legacy, about what's going to happen when you decide to retire. What kind of impact do you want to have on the other people in your life? If you have kids, those. If you're going to have kids, how are you going to impact them? What are you going to specifically be doing? So just to make it personal here, one thing that was super important to me and to my wife was that we got our daughter through college without any debt. We saw how crippling that could be for all of our friends and family who went through that, and we wanted to make sure that she didn't get there. Now, we had to make some sacrifices along the way, but we made sure, she's a junior this year, she's going to graduate next year, and we made sure that when she leaves, she won't be crippled by a bunch of student loan debt. And that was important to us. It was also important to us that we build a good retirement for later. And again, that came into maybe not having as big of a house as we could possibly afford, or maybe driving a car that was slightly older, but it was about long-term planning, about long-term, how do we want this to work in the legacy, and what do we want people to remember when we're gone? And then also, like, when we get into those legacy years, the 60s, 70s, 80s, when we want to just be living the life that we want to live, did we set up everything in our 20s and 30s and 40s to make sure that we're able to do that? So think about the legacy, think about the long-term goals here, and spend some time really making sure that that is where you're at. Now, call to action. Number one, I do coaching for a living, so I'm more than happy to have a conversation with any of you. If it's about finances, if it's about business strategy, if it's about any of it, the link in my description below, number one link, reach out to me and we can talk. That simple. I hope that that really helped, and I hope that you take some of this to heart. It doesn't have to be holistic. You don't have to go over everything. You don't have to have a complete life plan. So if you're one of those people that's a checklist person, I don't want you to think that I just gave you a ton of homework and it'll never be finished, because life is relatively long, and you have plenty of time that you want to do this. There are lots of resources out there and lots of other ways to get this done, but I honestly would just start with a pen and paper or a notebook or a checklist app, reminders in your iPhone, or maybe a spreadsheet or something like that. Just start off by thinking about, ideally, where do you want to be in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years? Where do you want to be in those times? 50 years from now, where are you going to be? Just think about that, make the plan, build some action steps, and then just go with it. And then continuously learn, continuously come back to this. I hope it helps. I'd love to talk to you, but at the very least, thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.